Good evening, Demon fans, and welcome back to the Demonland podcast. My name is Andy, and in a moment I'll be having a chat with Demon forward Jake Melksham to discuss his career to date, his role as a defensive forward, his disappointment in 2021, his return to form, and that match-winning clutch goal. If you're enjoying the weekly podcast and the interviews, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. The reviews help boost the podcast and help more people find the show and in turn get more people listening. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or Threads. Just search for Demonland. In addition to the podcast being available on Apple, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud or through your preferred podcasting app, the Demonland podcast is also available to be watched and listened to on YouTube. Just search for Demonland Podcast to find our channel and would appreciate it if you could like our videos and subscribe to the channel. If you love talking about the Demons, you can head on over to demonland.com to chat with other D's fans from across Australia and around the world. The Demonland podcast will return live on Monday night at 8:30 p.m, so join us then at demonland.com. But first, Jake Melksham. Our guest tonight was drafted at pick number 10 by the Melbourne Football Club in the 2009 National Draft. He made his AFL debut for the Bombers in 2010 and was awarded with an AFL Rising Star nomination. After 6 seasons and 114 games at Windy Hill, he was traded to the Melbourne Football Club during the 2015 trade period. He made his debut for the Demons in round 1 in 2017 and has since played 106 games and kicked 121 goals for the D's. For a career total of 220 games and 178 goals. Most recently, he was the hero of the MCG when he slotted through the match-winning clutch goal against the Lions. Welcome to the Demonland podcast, Jake Melksham.
Hi there, thanks for having me.
Jake, your draft class saw a couple of AFL stars drafted, Dust Amata, Nat Fyfe and Ben Cunnington, to name a few. D's fans may remember that draft year as the year we picked Tom Scully and Jack Trengove at picks 1 and 2, but it's also the year we picked up a tall, skinny, pizza-eating, dart-smoking ruckman in Max Gawn. You came from the Calder Cannons and Max was from the Sandy Dragons. Do you have any memories of Max from those TAC Cup days?
Yeah, I do. We played our under-18s Big Metro Carnival together, but I actually think Max was injured at that time. I think that was when he was going through one of his knee recos. So he was at training. I remember seeing him and thinking, wow, he's a big, awkward-looking young kid, and I'd never seen him play, so I wasn't sure what he was capable of. But it is quite interesting how he has, turned into a young, tall, skinny, awkward young man, and into arguably one of the best ruckmen that the game's ever seen.
He certainly is. Jake, you played juniors and under-18s as a midfielder. You started your career at the Bombers in that role. You've also played off the halfback and been used as a tagger. And once you crossed over to the Demons, you eventually found a home in the forward line as a defensive forward. How did that time as a tagger and as a defender help you prepare for the role of defensive forward?
It didn't help me prepare for it at all, to be honest. It's not really a defensive forward role that I play every week. It's just an every now and then type of thing. But essentially, I just go to that best defender and play as a forward on him. So I'll try and become as dangerous as possible. So still referencing him all the time as to where he is, because most of the time they're the intercept defender that will just follow the ball. So all you got to do is be close enough to them when the ball gets kicked in the area to either bring it to ground or mark the ball on them. So in terms of the games where I've tagged players in the midfield, it's nothing like that. And obviously you're playing at halfback, it's not really much like that either, because you're still most of the time attacking. You're not really chasing them around too much. You're just getting close enough to them to be able to exploit them.
So when you do come up against, Harris Andrews and Aidan Core this week on James Sicily, do you do any preparation into the, looking at the style of play that they play? Is there anything you sort of do to prepare for them, or do you just play your natural game and see what happens on the day, just sort of keeping them in check if you need to?
Yeah, not a heap of looking into their game, you sort of just know how they play. I've played on most of these guys a few times now, so as I mentioned earlier, they all get in line with the contest, and they stay that one kick away to try and intercept the ball. So you know where they're going to be, and you know that they're not really going to worry too much about you, but they get themselves in good spots. So it takes you to the ball, and then obviously once you get to those spots, you've just got to put your strengths on show. And for myself, that's just getting my aerial game going and then trying to kick goals where I can.
There's so many specific roles in the forward line now, that defensive forward position, key positions like T-Mac, Rui, Benny Brown, speed forwards like Chin Chandler and Cozzy. But there's one that's piqued a lot of interest and discussion on Demonland, and that's the high half-forward role that, say, Nibbler and Spargs play. It's a tough role. It requires a lot of endurance. It's linked to the all-team defence that the Ds employ, and often those players don't get the credit that they deserve because fans are obviously fixated on possession stats and goals. Are you able to elaborate on that specific role of the high half-forward and what it entails?
Yeah, so you're pretty much spot on. It's not a role where you're going to flatter the stat sheet, but it's a role that we value really highly in our team. There's a lot of unrewarded running that happens. You'll see Nibbler, all the speed forwards, but the one that sticks out is Nibbler, how he runs defensively both ways. When the ball's leaving the forward line, he's chasing out of there, and when the ball's entering into D50, he's helping out with defence to try and get back and get some numbers down there. So, and then obviously when the ball's going our way, he's trying to exploit his defender with his running power and his speed. So, he still has his games where he gets 15, 20 touches and 2 or 3 goals, which is fantastic. But then there's other weeks where it might not flatter the stats sheet, but if you look at all the tape during the week, he's doing exactly what we ask of him. So, as I said, it's a role that we value very highly at the club.
Jake, it was obviously disappointing for you on a personal level to miss out on playing in the grand final in 21. You also found yourself playing a good chunk of footy out at Casey in 2022 and early this season. And it would be very easy for a player at the back end of their career to drop their head and perhaps question their footy playing future. How have you used that disappointment of 2021 and then having to play in the twos? How's that motivated you to get back to playing some of your best footy and now being an integral part of the team?
Yeah, obviously it's not a place, no disrespect, that as an AFL player, having played for 14 years now, it's not a place that you want to frequent. But I understand there's been times where I've been there through lack of opportunity or through not fitting into the forward line dynamic, or even at times when you haven't been playing great, that you can spend extended periods of time down there. But I'm a big boy. I'm a man. I've played this game for 14 years. I'm one of the senior players, and I've still got to go out there and give my best and lead the younger boys and impart as much knowledge on them as I can where possible, and help coach my younger teammates. So there's still lots that you can take out of it, and obviously making sure that your form's at a good level to be able to be picked when the opportunity arises, which is what's happened last year late at the back end of the year, and then obviously again this year with some injuries. So it's all well and good to not be in the team and be disappointed about that, but you've still got to make sure that that your form warrants selection when the opportunity arises, which has happened for me.
And were there any changes that you made specifically to your game that led to the current run of success you've been having?
No, not really. I've been chipping away each year trying to improve. The thing that you can still do no matter how old you are each year is improve. And I wouldn't say that any one particular area has improved in my game, but it's just little bits here and there that have helped me along the way with my forward craft and the way that I play as a forward. So each year you can just improve marginally in certain areas. And obviously some games you can have some big games, other games you can be quiet but still have impact. It's just you got to just stick to task and put your best foot forward each week.
The D's forward line this season has never had the opportunity to be settled, be it through injury or form. You were given the massive opportunity when Bailey Fritsch went down with a foot injury to take that medium forward spot, and full credit to you. You've made that position your own. You're kicking goals, winning games off your own boot, taking the scalps of some of the best intercept defenders. We're getting to the business end of the season. There's not much time to experiment. Bailey is on the cusp of return. Tom McDonald's putting his hand up at Casey. Rui's locked down the number one tall spot. Joel Smith is being swung forward and back in a hybrid tall to medium role. How do you envision the makeup of our forward line to look come finals, particularly in the tall to medium department? And can you and Bailey work together and complement each other in the same team?
Yeah, for sure. We've had looks at this before. You know, we played the back end of the year last year, myself and Bailey. We've gone with, just one tall at certain times and the rest are, hybrids and smalls. We've done that in the preseason and that's looked really good. So, I would imagine Bailey comes into the team when he's fit, whether that's this week or the first final. I'm not too sure yet. I think he's got some ticking off of some training that he has to do. It's certainly going to be a handful for some teams, I think, when you've got Bailey down there. Christian Petrarca is going to be down there. Rude is playing some really good footy for a kid that's only 20, 21 years old, launching at the ball and taking out a fair few defenders as he does that. So I think, the way that it's looking at the moment is really dynamic and dangerous.
Our defenders seem to be a real tight unit. They're ably captained by Jake Lever and Stephen May. Their cohesion has been helped this season by the back 6 and 7 being pretty much settled for the majority of the year. And as mentioned, our forward line has been decimated with injuries to T-Mac, Benny Brown, Fritter, and more recently Petty. We just haven't been able to get much continuity in terms of personnel rolling through that line. In terms of leadership down forward, have you taken the mantle, being the most senior player down there? And are the forwards as tight a knit group as the defenders appear to be?
I would say we're a fairly tight knit group. I think either end of the ground, it's a different kind of vibe. The defenders rely on each other to defend as a unit against that forward group, and we call it life and death down there. There's a certain type of desperation that they play with. I'm not saying that we don't play with that type of desperation as a forward group, but when the ball's down there, it's a little bit more creative. It's a little bit more, putting your strengths on show. It's a bit more flair. And the defenders are, they're really defending as a tight-knit group. And we also do that as a forward group when the ball's down there. We're trying to defend and lock the ball in there as much as possible. So I would say, yes, we're a very tight-knit group led by our coach, Greg Stafford. And to answer your other question about the leadership role, it's sort of just, naturally I'm one of the older players, the most experienced in our club. And you would think that someone like myself would be, putting all of their leadership skills and roles on show each week to try and help the group, and particularly help some of the younger guys like Jacob Van Rooyen and Joel Smith's pretty new to the role. We got some other young kids down there, Cozzy and Chin. So as much coaching and help as possible is what I'm doing.
Accuracy for goal has been an issue for the D's in the past couple of seasons. Early in the year, we looked to have fixed up this area of the game, but then we went through a period where we couldn't hit the side of a barn. It's been well reported that Choco Williams was working on that aspect of our game during the pre-season. Did you go through the Choco Williams goal kicking academy?
He does our goal kicking and is our coach. So we work with him every week on all sorts of kicks.
And in terms of your own goal-kicking routine, you don't mind the snap from the boundary. We've seen a number of miraculous goals from you from impossible angles. You were also able to kick a beautifully straight drop punt clutch goal under the most extreme of pressure, and I'll talk more about that just in a moment. When lining up for goal, when do you make that decision to kick around the corner? When do you go for the drop punt? And I'm not talking about the hard on the boundary ones or the ones on or close to the 50-metre line, more so within the 50 to 30-metre range, perhaps on a slight angle. How do you make that decision of a snap or a drop punt?
Probably anything inside 30 is a snap. And 35 plus is a drop punt for me. So, it's all about just practicing those types of kicks at training so that when you get the ball in that area, you know what sort of routine you're going to go to.
And finally, Jake, take us through that match-winning goal against the Lions, and not just the kick for goal. The mark was just sensational too. You ran full pelt in front of Harris Andrews. It took a 2-bite mark coming from behind over Cozzy and his opponent from a rainmaker kicked in by Gus. Take us through the mark and what was going through your mind as you're taking the kick. How did you drown out the noise from the crowd? How do you focus on kicking the goal with all the nerves that must come with the pressure of the kick to win a game? And take us through how good that feeling is, kicking the winning goal on the G. It's just about every kid, big or small's dream to do just exactly that.
Yeah, so the mark was it was a quick kick out of the pack, and I was quick to react to see the ball off the boot from Gussie, and I sort of skirted around Cozzy and got my hands to it first and led Harris Andrews to the ball. So I was pretty happy that I was able to get the mark in that time of the game. I did feel like we did have one more score in us, so I was certainly manifesting it in my head that there's going to be another opportunity for us to score. Whether or not I thought it was going to be through me or someone else, I'm not sure. But when I marked it, I was relieved to have taken the mark, and then obviously the excitement that went around the stadium that we were getting another shot was pretty big, and I certainly felt that. But I was also excited by that moment to be able to put myself in that position to have a shot at goal. So I remember Lockie Hunter talking to me at the top of the mark. He's like, "Mate, you kick these all the time. You've been doing this for years. Just go back and slot it." And I sort of gave him a nod, and that was a little booster to my confidence when I was at the top of my mark. And I just tried to not kick the ball too hard. I probably nursed it a touch, but just swung my leg through naturally and, went through my routine that I've been working on for, all these years. And obviously when it went through, I celebrated pretty hard. I think I ran to the centre wing at full speed. And, it was a really exciting night. And I was very happy that the siren blew when it did because, the Lions were coming. So a great night was had, and it took a few days to sort of come down off the high after that Friday night win.
That it did. Jake, before I let you go, I had a number of Demonlanders who want to know whether you'll be going around next season. You'll be 32 in 6 days' time, so happy early birthday. You're contracted to the end of the season. Are you keen to keep going? Yes,
I am keen. Obviously, playing some reasonable footy at the moment, and I'm in the team, and the team's going well. So, I'd love to stay on at the club for as long as possible. So, we'll just see what comes of that in the next little bit. So, Jake, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Demonland podcast. We really appreciate your time. Kudos to you for a wonderful season so far. Thank you for that match-winning goal. Good luck for the rest of the season. Let's hope there's a medallion and a trophy for you and the club by the end of September. We'd love to see you back next year on the G. So I won't say congratulations on a great career and enjoy your retirement because we want to see you go around again. So thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, no worries at all. It's been a pleasure. That was Demon forward Jake Melksham. The Demonland podcast will return live on Monday night at 8:30 p.m, so please join us then at demonland.com. Questions and comments provided by our listeners are an integral part of the show, so if you want to contribute and you aren't a member of Demonland, then join up to demonland.com and look out for our weekly podcast thread posted after each match. You can also send us questions via direct message on any of the social media platforms that you follow us on. We won't read out your full name on the show. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch our podcasts. And if you're liking the podcast, then we'd really appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week. Go Demons.
Go Red Leggers.